It is a chilly, chilly morning. It is a chilly morning this morning here in the Northern Rivers. Very chilly, 6 degrees. Good morning, my darlings. I hope you're all well. My name is Debbie Carberry. I'm a relationship coach. My hair is sticking up. I'm based in Australia. I come in once a week to answer all of your questions about relationships, about self-love, about how to cope when relationships end, about what to do if a partner has an affair, about how to manage kids, all sorts of things that are to do with relationships. So if you are here, please do say hello to me so that I know that you can hear me and see me. So yeah, today is going to be a bit different to what I normally do because I'm excited and I'm celebrating. If you are not subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button, it's below. If you hit the notification bell, it will tell you when I do live streams. So please do go ahead and do that. Good morning. I see somebody just said good morning, Kathy. So what am I going to be talking about today? Well, I'm going to be answering your questions as I do always. But in addition to that, I'm going to be sharing some really exciting news because I'm really excited about my news. So I moved to YouTube properly, like as in I started working here on YouTube about in March, sometime in March. I've had a YouTube channel for a long time, but in March I decided to move over here. Hello, J3.14. Good evening from the USA. Good evening from the USA, my darling. Nice to see you, Jay. I'll call you Jay, it's easier. And if you have a question for me, sweetheart, just pop it into the comments and I will go ahead and answer your questions. So I've been working on YouTube since March properly. Like I've had a channel for a long time, but since March properly, with the goal of being able to offer more here, a bit more privacy, being able to do Q&As if people like them behind a closed door so that we have a bit more privacy. Some fun things like cute little emojis, which I've been working on, and also offering kind of a pathway for people who maybe arrive here because a partner's had an affair and they are reeling from that and don't know what to do next, or where a relationship has ended abruptly and it's just shattered your world. And so I wanted to create a way for women to be able to come, watch a lot of videos, get a lot of insight and help, grab some resources that would sort of assist you in the beginning the process of recovering and healing from what's going on. And then, of course, if you wanted additional support, to give you support. Well, yesterday, YouTube, finally, I reached my, so I had 1,000 subscribers. I'm on 1,443, I think, and 3,000 watch hours, which means that some of those things I can now offer. So I'm really excited, really excited. And I couldn't have done it without all of you. So thank you so much to everybody who has come to the channel and watched the videos and supported me and who comments, likes and shares my stuff. Like, I appreciate you so incredibly. So thank you for that. I'll do a question now, and then I'll talk a bit more about how this channel is going to change because of this, and how excited I am about that, and what I've got planned throughout the course of our Q&A session. So if anybody's got a question, drop it in for me. I'll answer it quite happily. Like I said, share this. So hit the share button and share it with your friends if you know other women who are needing some support, who are struggling with things. I literally will answer questions about anything. I'm a trained therapist. I've been working with women for over 2 decades, so I can talk about a lot of things. The only things I don't really talk about are mental health, but everything else I will talk about. And mental health, because you need to really be in a room with somebody, I think, and diagnose people if you're going to do that. So one of the questions that has come up recently is, why do people actually have affairs? What is it about people having affairs? Why do they do it? Why is it worse now than it's ever been? And so I wanted to kind of address that. And if you want to know more about that, I have a playlist that is all about affairs, and you can go and watch it. It tells you everything you need to know about affairs. There's a little resource with that called Beyond Betrayal. But basically, I think since the beginning of time, people have had affairs, or mistresses, they were called back in the day. But there was always affairs, and for lots of different reasons. Sometimes people want novelty; they want to have a new person who they're not used to being with. Sometimes it's because affairs are tantalizing, they're exciting. They're not the person who helps you get the kids ready, or dealing with the house being cleaned up, or sorting out bills, or so there's a level of excitement in an affair. Sometimes it's because people get complacent in their relationships. They're just kind of like, we've been together a long time, we kind of love each other, so there's no effort required. And when we get complacent in relationship, then our partners can also become very unhappy and dissatisfied. People have them because of different points in their lives. For example, people who have a fling just before they get married, or people who have an affair when they're hitting midlife and they're looking at, hey, I've done all this hard stuff. I've worked really hard. I've really done what I needed to do for my family, for my kids, for my partner. I've worked really hard, and now it's my turn. Now I want to be able to do what I want to do. So there are lots and lots and lots of reasons for affairs. I know some people who get through them and come through the other side, and it actually strengthens their relationship. I know people who, no matter what they do, no matter how hard they try, they cannot get past the affair, and it's just impossible to move forward. So it's different for everybody. What I really know for absolute certain is if somebody has had an affair, you do need external help. You do need somebody outside of your relationship to help the two of you move forward in whatever way you choose to do. Hello, Sarah. Good morning, my love. Please do say hello. There's quite a few of you watching. Do say hello in the comments. Don't be shy. The comments do not come up on the videos, so and I only use your first name, so I won't use your last name. So you can ask me a question, and you can either delete the question or know that they don't show up when I show the replay of this. And that is one of the reasons why I was wanting to get memberships and other things happening for people who come and watch my lives, so that we could have those behind closed doors and give you a bit more privacy if you felt you really needed it. So morning, Pauline. If anybody has a question for me, pop it in. I usually stay for about half an hour, maybe a little bit longer, and answer your questions. So if you have a question for me, do pop it into the comments and I will answer it for you. I'm more than happy to do that. And like I said, my channel is changing. I'm so excited. I've worked on the emojis. I think they're really cute and cool. I've also worked on some other things for the channel, and there'll be more things coming down the pike. So I'm really excited about that. All right, some questions. Here we go. I often overthink replaying situations in mind and imagining the worst case scenario. I wonder if being so emotionally sensitive is making life harder than it needs to be. It's a good question. I think first things first, let's be compassionate with ourselves. I think giving yourself a hard time because you feel quite anxious about things, and so you worry about things and you churn them over in your mind, thinking about worst case scenarios. Usually that's worrying or anxiety. Then I think first thing we do is we get compassionate with ourselves and remind ourselves that we're doing our best. We are trying really, really hard to cope with the situation, and our mind believes that if we think about every possible scenario, it will be easier and we'll cope better. I think what's important for us to do is, first of all, notice that part of us is worrying, is anxious. The next thing is to go, okay, and I think it's really important for us to be able to go, can I change this? Or is this something that I have no control over? Do I have control over it? Can I worry for a period of time and then put that on hold and come back to it later? So setting up rituals and routines that help you to go, okay, I'm going to take a break from this overthinking. I'm going to go and do something else that's going to occupy my mind and give me a bit of breathing space from the repetitive churning thoughts that I'm having. So again, I think it is quite challenging when you have a lot of worry and rumination, but there are absolutely things you can do that help you stop doing those things and give you some peace of mind. All right, there is another question. Okay, so Kate's asking me a question about when I work with people. Can I tell if they have mental health issues or trauma issues? Yes, I'm trained to do that. So yes, and generally, if I am with someone and I'm working with them, I ask them broadly, about their lives and what's going on for them and a bit about their history. People often will start a session with me and say things like, I don't know where to start, or this is really challenging. Some people will cry quite quickly, usually because they're feeling like there's a lot of energy and they're finally sitting in front of me, and so the energy comes to the surface and it kind of overflows. And my job, again, I can diagnose somebody, but I don't want to. I don't see the purpose of diagnosing. As somebody says to me, can you diagnose me? But for me, a diagnosis is not a solution. It's just a label. So when I talk to people, I'm like, okay, tell me what is happening. What are the things that are happening in your life that are challenging? And then, let me help you with, strategies to help you change that behavior. So for me, it's less about giving a diagnosis. I mean, you know, I work in Australia, and when I worked under Medicare, I did diagnose because that was part of my job. But oftentimes for me, it's about let's not worry about the label of it. How about we look at how this is impacting your life and how you would like it to change? So that's generally how I do it. All right. Gosh, a couple of questions this morning. All right, ladies. Okay, next question from Kate. Does anxious attachment mean emotional immaturity? No, no. Anxious attachment means that you learn, so we all have an attachment style, and very early in life, the first, 18 months to 3 years of our lives, we learn exactly what we have to do in the relationship with our primary carers. So we learn how to get our needs met. You know, a baby will cry, and some people say they have different cries for different things. You know, and if you have a responsive parent who comes in and goes, hey, this baby needs their nappy change, or this baby needs to be hugged, or this baby has got wind, or whatever it is, and the parent is responsive, then the child feels safe and secure. If the parent is not responsive, maybe the parent has a mental health issue, maybe the parent is exhausted, maybe the parent has, 4 kids, maybe the parent has got their own issues going on, and maybe they're not as responsive, or maybe they have a different attachment style and they're not as responsive, or different, they come from a different time when parents were not encouraged to respond to their children quickly, then that child learns that their needs are probably not going to be met, or not in the way they need them to be met. And so they adapt and change to make sure that they meet the needs of the parent so that the parent will stay with them. And as you would know, because I've worked with you, it's a complicated subject. I do talk about attachment a lot. I'm more than happy to answer questions about attachment. I have a great big article on my website about attachment that really explains it in a lot of detail. If anybody wants that, let me know in the comments and I will give you the link to that. That's a free resource. I also have a quiz that I do, an attachment quiz that I share with people who do my workshops, and that helps you understand. But no, it's not emotional immaturity. Attachment is literally about learning how to connect with people to get your needs met. And sometimes some of us learned that they wouldn't meet our needs, and so we got preoccupied, and we were constantly trying to win them over, constantly trying to get them to pay attention to us. And that's what an anxiously attached person does. Really thinks they're not worthy and the other person is, and really believes that their needs are not going to be met. And we take that into our adult relationships, which is really sad. You see that? Where is it? There's a hair sticking up there. Up. Girls, I can see it. There you go. It's gone. Good morning. There's some more questions. I will answer them. What I'd like to say is, if you're new to my channel, my name is Debbi Carberry. Hit the subscribe button when you come to my channel. I put out videos every single day, helpful videos with tips and tricks in them on all sorts of topics. And I organize some of those for you into playlists where you can go into just a list and it will have all of that topic in there. Affairs is currently up and running, and so is my Heartbreak to Healing workshop. Both of those up and running on playlists if you'd like to watch them. And I also provide resources, and I'll be providing a lot more in the coming days because I've reached the milestone of 3,000 watch hours this year so far, and I want to get up to 4,000 now. So please watch my videos. It helps me a lot, and share them. All right, next question. Let me see. When setting boundaries or not taking on other people's stuff, how do I try to not feel guilty even when I know it's my issue? So generally we feel guilty when we set boundaries initially if we're not used to it, or if in our history people have told us we weren't allowed to. So we feel uncomfortable because we feel like we're hurting somebody by saying no to them, or saying this is my line and I'm not moving from it. Somebody who's securely attached will not feel uncomfortable about setting a boundary. I don't feel upset about setting boundaries, trust me. But if you have not done it, what I suggest is, and I know you're one of my members, so go to the membership site, go to the boundaries workshops, and in there, set some small boundaries, like a small boundary for yourself, an internal boundary. Set some small boundaries for other people, ones where you don't feel too uncomfortable, and gradually build up your capacity for setting boundaries with people. It's okay to feel guilty and remind yourself, say to yourself, I'm setting this boundary because I care about myself. I'm setting this boundary to help the other person understand what I want and need. I'm setting this boundary because that's really healthy for me to do that. I'm setting this boundary because this person needs to understand that they can't treat me like that. So when we try and remember that there's a purpose behind it, we're not just being mean, but we're trying to be helpful to the other person and to ourselves. It is an act of self-worth to set a boundary. It's an act of self-love to set a boundary and say, actually, no, you can't treat me like that. That's unacceptable to me. So do hit the notification button, do hit subscribe, and do, of course, hit like, thumbs up, love hearts, and all those things. And by the way, I didn't know this, but I should say this. On the screen often of my videos, usually at the top in one of the corners, there's a little iCard that tells you things that you can watch. And I have things down the bottom that tell you other videos you might be interested in. So if you haven't seen those, look for them if you're watching my videos. Can you tell I'm not used to YouTube? I will get used to it. Gee, I like your explanation of why people cry like I do when I get into a therapy session. Yeah, and I think it's understandable. I think it's weird, right? If you have a big problem and you have felt really distressed in your life about something, and you go into a room with a complete stranger who you've never met, and you're going to tell them the darkest, most painful, most distressing things that are going on for you, then I think that would be a bit anxiety provoking. And I think also some things we save, right, for that really safe space. And we walk in the room and we burst into tears because we're finally able to share it with somebody. So I think it's just a really normal reaction. It's kind of like a bit of a pressure valve for some people. And yeah, it happens a lot. So please know that it happens a lot. It really does. Pauline, my love, why do I have selective memory loss on red flags while in the moment and when things are possible and good in the relationship, and then I'm hopeful in the moment of when things are okay? So I think I understand what you're saying. I don't think you have selective memory loss. This is something I talk about a lot. Our brains are really intriguing. Our brains are really, really intriguing. And our brains are looking, so our brains are like a big computer. And they want to be efficient like a computer. They want to do things really quickly. Otherwise, our brain would get quite exhausted. So our brain categorizes and puts into little boxes all the things that it experiences so that we don't have to think really hard. You know, imagine getting into your car, you're going home. You kind of know how to get there. You know every twist and turn because you've done that so many times. Well, your brain is like that. It's done things so many times that has part of your brain just automatically does things. One of the things your brain does is when it meets somebody, within seconds, it is assessed if that person is safe or not. And sometimes we get a spidey sense that, I don't know what it is about this person, but it just doesn't feel good. And sometimes we get a spidey sense of, oh my God, I love this person. Oh my God, they're amazing. Chemicals, fireworks, joy, excitement, happy. Because our brain has decided very quickly, you are familiar to me. And familiarity isn't always safe. So an example would be a person who has in their childhood witnessed domestic violence, in their adulthood maybe has been in a relationship with somebody and there is domestic violence. Their brain knows that that is familiar information. It's not good information. It's not kind of like, yeah, I prefer this, I want this. It is that I know how to be with you. I know what I have to do to be with you. My brain recognizes you very quickly. And then your brain wants to do the easy stuff. It doesn't want to have to work hard. So it uses the data it collects to reaffirm, to go, yep, that's right, that's right, that's right. So in the beginning, we can't see. Often women will say to me, they were so lovely for the first 6 months, and then they just turned. And I know that that isn't actually true. I know that it takes about 6 to 8 months of being with somebody regularly for your brain to actually have enough exposure to that person to go, uh-oh, you are actually very familiar to me and I don't want this again. But we don't see it in the early days, and we don't see it in the early days because our brain is we become intoxicated. You know, when you're intoxicated with alcohol or drugs, when you're intoxicated, you don't see all the things. And when you're intoxicated with love and attachment and connection and oxytocin, then we miss some of the things. So that is what happens. And down the track, then we see it, and then we go, uh-oh. What I always recommend to women is, please, when you're going out dating, have at least 6 dates, no intimacy at all, really 6 short dates of about 90 minutes, and keep it really light, because that will give you an opportunity to get some exposure to that person before you decide whether you actually want to pursue dating with them. So that is what I recommend. All right. Next question. There's a lot of questions this morning, isn't there, girls? All right. Before I take this next question, the channel's going to be so exciting. I'm so excited, ladies. I have some special emojis that I created for self-compassion and boundaries, and I've got quite a few different ones about, rising up after things fall apart. So I have some gorgeous emojis that I'll be able to share. We are going to have membership sites on our YouTube channel. We will have a self-soothing membership. We're going to have a trauma membership for our turtle people. We are going to have membership programs for all sorts of different bits and pieces. You're going to be able to buy things from my store, which is really exciting. So there is a lot that will be coming to the channel in the coming months. So please do, check things out. Please do come and check on the channel regularly. And if you're struggling or you know somebody who is struggling, then send them this way, at 2 o'clock in the morning when you can't sleep and you're really feeling upset and beside yourself and overwhelmed. Sometimes what you really need to do is to be able to listen to something that makes sense to you around what's going on. And on this channel, there are lots and lots and lots of videos like that, lots of free resources that you can go and read. And I will have some other things available to you in the coming months. So I'm really excited that we're able to do this, and I appreciate your so much. I appreciate your support so much in helping me to get to this point. It's been challenging, and it means the world to me. The work that I do with women, it really feels like my life's work and purpose. It really does. I love what I do. I've just found the last few years a bit challenging because I've been using another network, and I just have found it a noisy, challenging, difficult, and sometimes distressing space to try and work with women. I know in here it's easier for me. I have more capacity to put things in between the ladies and their situation, so that you don't feel like everything is hanging out there. An example of that is these lives, right? You can come and ask me questions, and nobody's going to see what you asked me on the replay. In the live there will, but you can always set up an account like Jay has with just numbers, where people won't know who you are. Alternatively, of course, we will have some Q&A sessions. I don't know how frequent I'm going to do them, but they'll be paid Q&A sessions where behind closed doors you can come and talk to me, and I will answer your questions that are more intimate and more private, and you don't want the world to know about. So very, very excited about that. Like I said, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the love heart. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. Listen to me. Don't forget, ladies. Don't forget. All right, we have a question. How can I change the story I tell myself from I'm too much to I'm learning to express my needs in healthier ways? And I think that's interesting. For some of us, I would be one of those. I don't know about any of you. If any of you have felt this way, do let me know in the comments. Where people, I'm an extrovert, I have a trauma history. And so, yeah, some people can think that I'm way too much. I'm just going to turn my heater off because I'm getting too warm now. It's 8 degrees here in Australia, where I am, which is very, very cold. So I put my heater on this morning, but now I'm starting to get a little warm, girls. I'm very, very warm. I'll turn my heater off. So when I was growing up, I talked, on my report cards, it would say talks too much, can't focus, doesn't concentrate. And that was, part of being a person who had a trauma history. And so I know as I got older, a lot of those traits stayed with me. I talk too much to this day. And I'm comfortable with that. I'm quite self-compassionate and self-forgiving about the fact that, yep, I do talk too much. And I try and work on making space for other people's voices. But again, when we've heard that story, it's never you're too much in a good way. It's you're too loud, you're too giggly, you're too noisy, you take up all the space, like things like that. So it's never a compliment when people say you're too much. And so we have to remind ourselves and come back to ourselves and with compassion and kindness and tell ourselves, I know why, and this is what I do. I know why I do these things. I know there's a little person inside of me who goes, but, like little people do. and I'm compassionate to her, and I remind myself it's okay. You're changing that. It's a habit, and you're learning that there is plenty of time. You don't have to try and hog up everything. You make space for other people. There's enough space for all of us. So it's about being really kind to ourselves and reminding ourselves that it's okay to slow down, and reminding ourselves that there is space and time for us to get our needs met, but with a lot of self-compassion. Like, we need to be very, very self-compassionate and not give ourselves a hard time about the fact that, yeah, we might be too much for some people. I'm just the right measure for some people. I don't know many people these days who think I'm too much. I'm about the right measure. But I'm an extrovert, and I am loud, and that's part of who I am, and I love that parts of me. I really do. I love them. All right. So if you have any questions for me, I'll take a couple more questions, then I'm going to finish up. So if you've got a question, go ahead and ask it in the comments. Thank you for joining me. I have decided that I'm going to mix this up a little bit. So one Thursday I will do 7:30 a.m. The next Tuesday I will do an evening call. The next one a morning. The next one an evening. So I'm going to be changing and do some evenings, some mornings. And I will be letting people know. So if you're on my emailing list, or if you're in my membership program, you will be told when I'm coming on. But I'm going to do some mornings and some evenings, because I like to hit all the countries. So Canada, America, New Zealand, Australia, Ireland, and the UK and Europe. And so varying the times means that people in different countries can at least come to some of the lives. So I will be swapping that out, and I'll do 1 week will be mornings, the next evenings, mornings and evenings, so that everybody gets an opportunity to come to a live. So is there anything else that I need to remind you of? I don't think there is. My channel is changing. I'm so excited. I hope you're excited for me. When you come to my channel, also leave comments. I answer every single comment that is left. I want to be interactive with you. I want this to be a space of community, a space of really lovely community. You know, my membership is a gorgeous community space where we are sisters from another mister, and we all love each other and take care of each other. And I would like this space to definitely be very similar to that. All right, questions. When I compare myself to my ex's new partner, I feel like it was never enough. How can I sit with those emotions without being so hard on myself? Ooh, yikes. And this is not unusual. So, you know, when you've been in a relationship with somebody for decades, and, you know, you've changed from the person you were 20 years ago, 30 years ago, which, of course, you know, I'm very different to what I was in my 30s and 40s. You know, we change, we age. Maybe we had babies, and so our bodies have changed quite a bit. Maybe we've hit menopause, and a lot of things have changed a bit. So, you know, we go through changes, and then if a relationship ends and the new partner comes along, we're sitting looking at, well, I'm not 20 anymore. You know, I've had children, so my body has changed, and I've gone through menopause, so my body has changed. And we start to compare ourselves in really unfair ways. Oftentimes, when we're comparing ourselves to other people, we don't do it favorably. We don't go, oh, my face is prettier than hers, or my hair is prettier than hers, or I'm taller than her, or I have a much nicer laugh than she does. Our inner critic comes out. It's like, you're fatter than her. Your hair's not as shiny as hers. Your smile isn't as pretty as hers. Like, we're really quite mean to ourselves when we're comparing ourselves, which is sad. I don't think it's helpful to ever compare ourselves to anybody. We're all unique. We're all different. We all have strengths and weaknesses. We all come on this earthly plane with baggage that we've got to deal with, all of us. I think what we need to remember in these times is, and reminding ourselves, this isn't helpful to me to compare myself to this other person. It's not kind if I start comparing myself to this other person. I don't know this other person and this other person's behavior, or really who this person is. And I'm being mean to myself when I do that. I'm really being quite cruel to myself when I do that. And so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be gentle with myself and kind with myself, and remind myself that it isn't helpful for me to compare myself. And so we can, set that internal boundary that says, I won't compare myself to other people. I remind myself that I'm unique and I'm different to any other person on this earthly plane, and that everybody is different. And so we remind ourselves gently and kindly and compassionately that we are doing our best and we are our best version of ourselves. And if we don't feel happy with ourselves, if we sit down and we say, I'm not happy about certain aspects of my personality or the way I look or the way I feel, then we can do something about that. We can make decisions around, actually, I want to do some things differently. I recently joined the gym. Gosh, ladies, I tell you what, it's hard down the gym with all the bodybuilders. But I've learned to go down there and just be comfortable and do what I'm doing and stay in my own lane. A lot of the young men now allow me to get on the machines before they do, because they know I'm fast and I'm not going to spend 25 minutes sitting there doing an exercise. I'll be there for, as long as it takes me to get it done, and then out I go. So, I think it's important to not compare yourself and to remind yourself that you are unique. And if you want to change something about yourself, go ahead and do it. That's what I would do. I really am pleased that you enjoy our chats, Susan. It's nice to see you. I know your name. I know who you are. All right, my loves. So, wrapping things up for today. Thank you for coming along to the live chat. I appreciate that. Like I said, I'm going to vary them from mornings to evenings from now on, because I really think there's a bunch of people who would like to see my chats but don't get to because of the time of day that I do them. So I'll do 1 week morning, 1 week evening. I'll make sure that that's up on the channel so you can see it. Like I said, if you hit the notification button, it will tell you when things are coming up from me. I'd love you to share this information. If you see a video or a playlist that you think, gosh, people might like that, you can put it on your social media channels. If you have questions for me, we will get an opportunity very soon for you to be able to put in questions with me, which I'm really excited about. And like I said, I'm going to be offering a lot of more in-depth advice and help on the channel as we've hit our 3,000 subscribers, which is so exciting. And I have emojis, which I am in the process of completing. I love them. I think they're beautiful. They're really meaningful. And if you are part of, I think it's part of a membership or something, you get access to those emojis. So I will be learning all about that and putting things up on my channel in the coming days. I've been working very hard on getting the channel where I'd like it to be. My little shop is in the process of being built out for me. We've done a lot of work behind the scenes to really be able to bring this to everybody. I'm just excited. I'm so excited to finally be able to do this in one place. And to my members who have been the best, to all my gorgeous members, mwah, mwah, mwah. Thank you so much for your encouragement. Thank you so much for helping me and being here as cheerleaders for me. Like, you are gorgeous and I appreciate you. And to all the new people who have come here looking for answers, I want to get to know you. That's what I'm about. I want to get to know who you are and your situation, and I want to learn about you. I that's part of what I love about what I do, is that I get to spend time with amazing women who grow in front of my eyes, who are in usually very desperate situations when they begin talking to me, but over time I get to see them really flourish and rise and take back their lives in ways that can be breathtaking at times and just beautiful. So, you gorgeous, scrumdiddlyumptious lot, thank you so much for coming and spending some time with me today. I will be back next week, but I'll be doing an evening slot next week. So I look forward to seeing some of you then. As I said, hit the subscribe button. There are cards that come on the screen. I don't know where they are or where I point them out, but there are little black things with an eye in them. That's an iCard, and it says, hey, this might be helpful to you, or there's other videos that pop up, or playlists that pop up, so it will help you get to where you need to go. But if you can't find something, or you're wanting something specific from me, you leave a comment for me and I'll make sure that we get that for you. All right, my darlings, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I appreciate you enormously, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time here on YouTube. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.